Man. What the hell was that, man? Fucking garbage-ass team, man. This team can't be the good team to save their life, man. Choke artists. Choke artists. We up 42-22. All of a sudden, you look up, we down 45-42. How? Jackie Young go on a 17-0 run by herself. They go on a 24-0 run. Coaches don't call timeouts. What the hell is going on? What the hell is going on, man? Indiana Fever, straight up garbage. Choke job. Kelsey Mitchell, late.
Caitlin Clark stood at the free throw line. The game hanging in the balance, and then the unthinkable happened. She didn't just miss one, she smoked both shots, her face a mask of pure disbelief as the lead evaporated into thin air. This wasn't just a bad play. It was the breaking point for a superstar who had reached her limit with a coaching staff that seemed to be actively sabotaging their own success. The tension in the arena was thick enough to cut with a knife, as the Indiana Fever's Golden Girl finally hit her boiling point in front of the world.
I don't even want to take this damn bag off my head. I'm so embarrassed of this team. Embarrassing. 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 The Las Vegas Aces didn't even belong on the floor with the Indiana Fever. Didn't even belong on the floor with them. They slow. They could not keep up when we was playing fast pace. We go up 20 points. All of a sudden, bonehead Stephanie White want to sit down Lexi Hall, who was guarding Jackie Young. Jackie Young had 0 points in that first half when Lexi Hall was on her. She put Kelsey Mitchell on her. Next thing you know, Jackie Young going wild. 15.
It started as a masterclass, a total demolition of the Las Vegas Aces that had the home crowd in a frenzy. The Fever were up 42-22, playing at a pace that the defending champions couldn't even touch, making them look slow and outdated. Caitlin was dealing, racking up 8 assists in the blink of an eye, and it felt like the league's power dynamic was shifting right before our eyes. But in the WNBA, a 20-point lead is the most dangerous place to be when your head coach decides to play games with the rotation and the momentum.
You hit a couple big threes in the fourth quarter. I thought you had a pretty good first half of the second quarter. You had 8 assists. You had 8 assists with like 6 minutes left in the second quarter. You finished the game with 8 assists. You didn't get a single assist in the third quarter, fourth quarter, or overtime. I've never seen that. Now, listen, I've seen Michael Jordan have bad games. Allen Iverson, Kobe Bryant, LeBron, Steph Curry. Superstars have these type of games. But in the big moments, I'm fine with Caitlin Clark having a bad game. She's human. What hurts the most.
Then came the decision that flipped the entire script and left fans screaming at their television screens. Stephanie White made the baffling call to bench Lexi Hull, the one person who had completely neutralized Jackie Young. At that point, Young had 0 points, stuck in a defensive straitjacket that was keeping the Fever's dream alive. But the moment Lexi sat down, the floodgates didn't just open, they exploded, and Jackie Young went on a rampage that would haunt the Fever for the rest of the night. It was a coaching blunder that defies all logic.
First of all, Kelsey Mitchell, your ass had a chance to close the game first. You had a chance to close the game first. You made the first free throw, you missed the second one. You could have put us up by 4, 2-possession game with 6 seconds left, game over. You blew it too. Then Caitlin Clark walks to the free throw line and smokes not 1, but 2 free throws. I can't defend it. I love her. I can't defend it. I can't defend it. We got to keep it real. We can't run around saying she's sick. We can't run.
Jackie Young didn't just score. She went on a 17-0 personal run that made the Fever's defense look like a high school junior varsity squad. It was a 24-0 run for the Aces overall, a collapse so total and so sudden that it felt like a glitch in the Matrix. While the lead was being incinerated, Stephanie White stood on the sidelines like a spectator, refusing to call a timeout to stop the bleeding. It was a coaching meltdown of epic proportions, watching a 20-point cushion vanish in less than a quarter of play. The sideline silence was absolutely deafening.
I can't defend it. I love her. I can't defend it. I can't defend it. We got to keep it real. We can't run around saying she's sick. We can't run around. We can't make excuses. Caitlin Clark is the best point guard in this league. She don't need excuses from us. It was a bad game, and I'm fine with the bad game, but you cannot miss both of those free throws at the end of the fourth quarter. In that last possession in overtime, you have Asia Wilson on you, a center. You are supposed to be able to create off the dribble and get whatever you want. A point guard on a center standing 30 feet away from the rim is supposed to be able to get whatever they want.
Caitlin Clark was watching her hard work disappear, and the frustration was beginning to boil over on the court. After starting the game with 8 assists in the first half, she wouldn't record a single one for the rest of the game, including overtime. The offense that had looked like a well-oiled machine suddenly turned into a stagnant, predictable mess that left their star player stranded. You could see it in her body language. The connection between the bench and the floor had completely severed, leaving Caitlin to fend for herself in a collapsing system.
You are supposed to be able to create off the dribble and get whatever you want. A point guard on a center standing 30 feet away from the rim is supposed to be able to get whatever they want. And you got nothing. You got stuck in no man's land. You throw the ball up in the air. She deflected it. Now, after she deflected it, did she knock you to the floor? Yes. But the ball was already deflected. It was already about to be a turnover. You can't miss 2 free throws at the end of the fourth quarter and turn the ball over at the end of overtime. You had 9 turnovers. You had 8 turnovers. You can't do that at the end of the games, Caitlin.
As the game tightened, Stephanie White's strategy devolved into what many are calling the 2025 offense, which is essentially just throwing the ball to Kelsey Mitchell and praying for a miracle. There was no structure, no set plays for their generational talent, and no attempt to exploit the mismatches they had worked so hard to create. It was playground basketball at the highest level, a desperate scramble that signaled the coaching staff had completely lost their grip on the game plan. The superstar was being marginalized in the biggest moments of the night.
The going got tough, and this proved to me that Stephanie White is in over her head and she's garbage as a coach. Whenever things got tough and Caitlin Clark couldn't make a shot, you know what they did? They went to the 2025 offense, which is we're just going to get a ball to Kelsey Mitchell and pray she can bail us out. Pray Kelsey Mitchell can bail us out. And Kelsey Mitchell got bailed out by the refs a lot down the stretch. But Kelsey Mitchell, your defense is just as bad. I mean, like, people want to talk about Caitlin Clark defense is bad. Nah, Kelsey Mitchell defense is bad. You gave up 15 straight to Jackie Young in the second quarter. That's what turned this whole game around.
Inside the paint, the disaster continued as Aaliyah Boston was forced to play an unnatural game that completely neutralized her strength. Instead of posting up and punishing Aya Wilson, Boston was frequently found standing at the three-point line, a tactical choice that made zero sense to anyone watching. By the time the fourth quarter rolled around, Boston was saddled with 5 fouls, while Aya Wilson had barely been touched, playing with only 1 foul for the majority of the contest. It was a mismatch created by coaching instructions rather than a lack of talent.
Took her out while we was up 20, and Jackie Young never looked back. Chelsea Gray, I still think you slow, run like you got a piano on your back. Damn it, I got to put some respect on your name. Those was 2 big-ass shots late in the games. Hit a big shot to send it to overtime, then you hit a big shot to win the damn game. I can't say nothing about you did what you had to do. Respect. I got to respect it. The Indiana Fever, this was an epic meltdown, an epic choke job from everybody involved. Everybody involved. We just got to keep it real. Now, I know versus the Sky, Caitlin Clark going to show up and get hurt.
The end of the fourth quarter was a sequence of events so painful, it felt like a slow-motion car crash for the Indiana faithful. Kelsey Mitchell had the chance to put the game on ice, stepping to the line with the weight of the city on her shoulders. She made the first, but the second one clanked off the rim, leaving the door cracked just enough for the Aces to breathe. It was the first domino to fall in a series of late-game errors that showed the Fever weren't ready for the pressure. This was only the beginning of a complete and total breakdown, but then came the moment that truly shook the foundation of the franchise. Caitlin Clark's turn at the charity stripe. Usually a lock in these situations, Clark stepped up with a chance to redeem the team's earlier mistakes and secure a massive victory. Instead, she missed both. A double clank that sent shock waves through the arena and left her teammates looking on in total horror. It was a shocking lapse in concentration from a player who usually thrives in the clutch, signaling that something was deeply wrong with the team's mental state and focus. It wasn't just the missed shots. The ball security issues that have plagued Clark's rookie season came back to haunt her at the worst possible time. She finished the night with 8 turnovers, several of which occurred during the most critical stretches of the fourth quarter in overtime. Each giveaway was a dagger, giving the Aces extra possessions they didn't even have to work for. While she's a superstar, these are the types of mistakes that turn a potential legendary win into an embarrassing story about a team that simply isn't ready for the big stage yet. When the game moved into overtime, the wheels didn't just come off. The entire vehicle disintegrated on the track. Caitlin found herself isolated against Aya Wilson, a center nearly 30 feet away from the basket with the game on the line. In that moment, a world-class point guard is supposed to blow past the big man and create a shot or a pass. Instead, Clark got stuck in no man's land, unable to create space, and ended up throwing a desperate prayer into the air that was easily deflected. It was a moment of pure helplessness that summarized the night. Aya Wilson might have struggled early, shooting just 10 of 25 from the field, but she showed exactly why she's an MVP when the pressure reached its peak. While the Fever were crumbling at the line, Wilson was a perfect 6 for 6 on free throws during the fourth quarter in overtime. She didn't have to be perfect all night. She just had to be perfect when it mattered most, exploiting the Fever's lack of discipline. The gap in late-game execution between the two teams was wider than the Grand Canyon. And it all started with the coaching preparation. The lack of support from the Indiana bench made the starters' burden almost impossible to carry as the minutes ticked away. Outside of a few hard-working rebounds, the bench provided a measly 6 points in an overtime game, leaving the heavy lifting to a tired core. You can't beat the defending champions with essentially 5 players, especially when your coach is making questionable substitutions. The depth issues that have haunted the Fever all season were exposed on a national stage. And the results were absolutely devastating for a team with playoff hopes. Defensively, the second half was a total surrender, with Kelsey Mitchell and others getting shredded by Chelsea Gray and Jackie Young. Mitchell might have scored 28 points, but she gave up just as many on the other end, failing to contain the perimeter. The defensive intensity that built the 20-point lead was replaced by a soft, reactionary style that allowed the Aces to get whatever they wanted. It was as if the team had forgotten the fundamentals the moment things got a little bit difficult. The lack of defensive accountability was staggering to witness. Chelsea Gray, despite looking a step slower than usual, reminded everyone why she is called the point god with 2 massive buckets. She hit the shot that sent the game to overtime and then hit the one that effectively ended the Fever's hopes for good. She sat back, waited for the Fever to make their inevitable mistakes, and then punished them with clinical precision. It was a veteran lesson in composure that the young Indiana squad and their coaching staff clearly haven't learned yet. They were playing checkers while the Aces were playing championship chess. The criticism for Stephanie White is reaching a fever pitch, with fans and analysts questioning if she is truly the right person for this rebuild. To watch a team go from a 42-22 lead to a loss while failing to adjust to a single run is a massive red flag. Her inability to manage the clock, use timeouts effectively, or put Aaliyah Boston in positions to succeed is becoming a recurring theme. This wasn't just a loss, it was a tactical failure that wasted a legendary start from her star backcourt. The questions about her future are now louder than ever. Perhaps the most damning statistic was the Fever's scoring drought that saw them stuck on 42 points for nearly an entire quarter's worth of game time. They had 42 with 7 minutes left in the second and still had 42 halfway through the third quarter. That is an offensive collapse that defies logic for a team featuring some of the best shooters in the world. It showed a complete lack of offensive identity the moment the Aces turned up the defensive pressure even a little bit. Without a plan B, the Fever were just sitting ducks for the Vegas comeback. While the misses at the line were the most glaring, Caitlin's overall shooting night was a struggle that she couldn't seem to overcome. She went 7 of 22 from the floor and only 2 of 10 from three-point range, a volume that the team simply couldn't afford on an off night. When your superstar is taking 22 shots and missing 15 of them, the margin for error becomes razor thin. But even with those poor numbers, the game was still right there for the taking. If the basic fundamentals had been followed by the rest of the squad and the coaching staff, you could see the physical and emotional toll the game was taking on Clark as she was knocked to the floor repeatedly in the final minutes. On her final turnover, she was bumped and sent sprawling, but the refs kept their whistles silent, much to her visible disgust. The frustration of not getting calls, combined with her own mistakes, created a perfect storm of a meltdown. She's a competitor who expects perfection. And when that perfection turned into a nightmare, the cracks started to show in her armor. The mental fatigue was just as heavy as the physical. Amidst the chaos, Nalissa Smith provided one of the few bright spots for Indiana, playing a solid game with 14 points and 9 rebounds. She was efficient, shooting 7 of 11, and seemed to be the only one playing within the flow of the game during the middle quarters. However, her contributions were overshadowed by the epic collapse happening around her as the team failed to capitalize on her effort. It's a recurring story for the Fever, individual performances being wasted by a collective lack of late-game execution and a total failure in coaching strategy. The media fallout from this game is going to be intense, as the Caitlin Clark effect ensures every mistake is magnified 1,000 times over. There are no excuses left for this team to hide behind. They had the champions on the ropes, and they let them off. The narrative that Clark needs more help is starting to shift into a narrative that she needs a coach who can actually manage a high-stakes game. This performance was an embarrassment at home that won't be forgotten by the fans or the front office anytime soon. The pressure is mounting. This was an epic choke job from everyone involved. From the players at the free throw line to the staff on the bench, there is no defending a meltdown of this magnitude, especially when you have the talent to win by double digits. The Las Vegas Aces didn't even belong on the floor with the Fever in the first half, but they walked out with a win because they stayed composed while Indiana panicked. It was a masterclass in how to throw away a season-defining victory in the span of 20 minutes. The fans deserved much better than this. In the end, Caitlin Clark is still the generational talent we all know she is, and she will likely bounce back and tear the next opponent apart. But this game served as a brutal wake-up call for the Indiana Fever organization about how far they still have to go. Talent can get you a 20-point lead, but it takes discipline, coaching, and mental toughness to actually close the door. Until this team learns to finish what they start, these shocking meltdowns will continue to define their era instead of the championships they are desperately chasing.